Hello.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Sorry about your first 2 hours of today.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And the sad part is that I did not even save. The first part saved, but the second part was where doing really shared stuff with us and I lost it. I don't
No,
want that.
you have to bring her back. I think for a lot of us that were doing the first time was last week. Your
Yes.
first time was today. Our first time was today. I guess we're all learning.
I know.
I
And
noticed
so,
last week that my head was too big in the video.
so now you move back.
So today, yes, I had to move back a bit. And interestingly, so you're becoming a guru on this
Abby.
topic.
I see Doyi. Hi Doyi.
Okay. Sorry, can you see, at least can see the kitchen behind me?
I can see the
Is it the
kitchen
kitchen?
behind
Yeah.
you. Yes.
You can see the microwave. This is what you get to do when you have to get things done. So I think let's just, for people that didn't join last week, there's actually a video. There's a video of a 55-minute video when we discussed on how anybody that's above 55 can migrate to Canada.
Yes.
People have asked me so much questions since then. Please, I beg of you, go on Facebook, go on YouTube, Kauda Shokoya. The video is there. If you have any other question, she is the expert. She is the expert. I would always refer you to her because I would not speak on a subject in which I am not licensed. Once I'm
Yeah.
not licensed, I will not speak on. It's too dangerous to do that because, well, there are other implications beyond
I
just
know.
speaking about it.
Yeah.
Whatever is on the internet never forgets. So you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about schooling in Canada.
Yep.
Schooling, where a lot of people have asked me, how can they come and school in Canada?
Mm.
How can they go to school in Canada? You meet a lot of consultants,
Mm-hmm.
hotels in Lagos, everywhere. How do you school in Canada? You can get admission in Canada. Sometimes it's a university may come to
Yeah,
come
they
to
have those
Lagos.
fairs. Yes.
So the question is, how do anybody's school? What's school in Canada all about? What's Canada's educational system? Let me start with that.
Okay. So, the people I find from Nigeria coming to school here, that is either I have people in the high school or those in the
Wait, so
university.
you know when you use all this big word?
High school, secondary school, sorry.
Hey, hey, that you people confuse us. Okay, sorry, I'll
Secondary
increase the
school.
volume.
Yes,
Okay,
so we have a lot of people wanting to send their secondary school kids to come here. Those ones they don't have any problem. They should
okay.
just Google.
Guys, let's wait a bit.
Yes,
The reason why I asked about this is there is elementary,
yes,
there is high school.
that's high school. Yes.
So what's going to the elementary? Let's start with that.
So
So let's just start with it.
elementary, primary, high school.
Okay,
So here we have elementary, we have middle school, and then we have high school. So if you picture it
okay,
as primary school, middle school will be like your GSS something. Then high
okay,
school will be like your SS equivalent, right?
okay, yeah,
And
okay,
then university. Then you
okay.
could have universities, we have colleges, all right?
Uh,
You yes. So universities,
I'm
colleges.
confused.
So universities, colleges will be like Polytechnic University in Nigeria.
Oh, so a college is not actually secondary school.
Okay.
I always
So
thought college secondary
so when they
school.
say I'm in college, most people mean I am in high school, right? They call college high school. It's used interchangeably, but the name of the
Okay,
school won't actually be something something college. When you hear
okay.
Humber College, it's a post-secondary institution in most cases. But when someone
Oh,
says, "Oh, I'm in college," they're referring to the fact that they're in high school, right?
okay,
Now, for
okay,
those coming to high school, elementary, any school they choose is fine because they are all designated learning institutions by the government of Canada, which I'll come to later, right?
okay,
For those coming for post-secondary education, they're either coming for a master's or a postgraduate diploma. Don't get confused. Sometimes we refer to our postgraduate diploma as graduate certificate programs, right? And
Ah,
Canada is very, very
wait,
picky. So
wait,
unlike
wait,
some,
wait.
okay,
Someone
okay,
accused me last week of cutting in.
Yes.
But you know me, I'm a native Nigerian person. Now, okay, let's start before you go too far. Can
Mm-hmm.
someone come to school in Canada for high school from
Yes.
Nigeria?
Yes. Yes,
What?
you can.
Just wait. Can I
Yes.
come and do my first degree in Canada?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Can I come and do my what we call postgraduate in Nigeria? Can I come and do it in Canada?
Yes, sir.
Can I come and do my PhD in Canada?
Yes, very competitive. When we're getting to master's, PhD, we're entering the very competitive sector. So in
Okay.
most
So
cases,
okay.
they're picky, right? If they
Okay.
have 10 slots, they'll probably reserve 7 of those slots for home students, so for permanent residents and citizens. So all the
Oh.
international students are scrambling and really, really fighting for a seat.
Okay, for what I gathered so far, there's
Mm-hmm.
elementary, there is
Mm-hmm.
high school,
Yes,
student of
sir.
Nigeria, there's junior high,
There's middle, yeah, there's
Abi?
junior high, yes, and then
Oh,
high school.
okay.
Yes.
Junior high is our own GSS.
Mhm.
There's high
Mhm.
school. There's
Mhm.
college and university.
Yes.
Because sometimes I get confused.
Yes. Yes, there are.
Okay, okay. So you can go on from there, at
Okay.
least.
So for the college university, the discrimination is not there as much as it is in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, you see people looking down at those that went to poly. Oh, me, I finished from poly, I finished from university. In fact, for those that want to immigrate, sometimes you find that those that finished in poly, they have a better advantage because HND, I won't get into all of that because HND is giving them more advantage compared to someone that just had a BSc. But what am I saying? What I'm saying is when you want to come here for masters, you need minimum 2-1. All right. So when you don't have two
A,
one, the fight.
a lot of people don't want to hear that part.
No, it's the truth. They need to hear it. They need to
So
hear
if I
that
don't have a
part.
2-1,
If you
if I
don't
don't have
have
a
a
2-1,
2-1, it's a tall order. So if you're doing an MBA, you have money, you have work experience, there are things that can make up for not having a 2-1. But I must
okay,
put it out there that the competition is steep. Now, for
okay,
those that their ultimate goal is to immigrate
mm,
to Canada, I'll just tell them, just go and do your PGD, JJ. You know, it will,
okay,
and it also has its own advantages because they are teaching them practical skills as opposed to theory. So,
okay.
what to choose? Yes,
Can you just hold on? Okay.
yes, sir.
Let us start on how to get admitted into high school.
Okay,
Let's start with how to get admitted in high school, how to get admitted for your BSc. Let's start with those ones first.
okay. So starting
So if
with
I'm going to
high
go for my
school.
high school,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Starting with high school, it's your province. Are you interested in coming to Ontario, Saskatchewan? Where do you want to go to? What grade are you coming from? So if you haven't finished in Nigeria and you're like transferring in between, so you're coming SS3, things like that, you can use your transcripts from your school to get
Okay.
admission here.
So you can actually get admission to come and complete your secondary school here.
Yes, you can. Yes, you
How will
can.
how the person go about it? Will I just
So
go
you
online
just apply. You just apply directly to those schools. They are
to the
very
school?
easy. They are very easy to get into. It doesn't matter which one you get into. If you're underage, you would probably need someone to sign off that they're going to be watching over you, like a
Man,
custodian and
which
things
one is
like that.
that age again?
So if you're under 17,
Under 17.
yes, which
Now,
is most high school students.
something else which I think we Nigerians should need to understand, at least when I was told, I was shocked. You
Mhm.
cannot be in class with people of your age.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
is
yes,
that how it works?
so how it works is we use calendar year. So for
Okay,
instance, if we're going elementary this year, school starts
okay,
in September, and praise Jesus, they said that the children are going back to school come September. If they have to wear a mask, they are going in, but subject to another day. Now, for those that are starting junior kindergarten, so the first class in elementary, for instance, it doesn't
hmm,
matter that that child has clock 4 or is about to clock 4. What matters in year 2020 academic session is you must have been born 4 years ago. So every child that was born from January to December 2016 will be getting into school this year,
okay.
right?
So okay, let's look at if I want to get to year 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Year 8 is if I go to year 8, how old must I be?
I can't remember exactly what the age is, but it's calculated. Like you can't say because you were born December 31 or you were so close to a certain thing. It's the calendar year. So if they're saying if year 8 for this year falls back to
I
um
think 15.
yes, It will be the
So,
calendar year for that 15. It won't be when you clock
okay.
the 15. So those are like little technicalities. People
So on,
struggle because they are, you've been in Nigeria, you've done double promotion, or you've changed your birth certificate, or your child got into schools quickly, and then you come here and they are now placing your child by age. Yeah, it's something to be mindful of. But there's
okay,
not much you can do about it.
so the class you have
Mm-hmm.
depends on your age.
Yes, it
I
does.
think that's something we should all get. So
Yes,
even
it
if
does.
your child is an early starter,
Yes.
he has to be in class with his own age mates.
Yes. Now, the good thing they do here, which I like, is that if they find that your child is talented, there are different programs they start to put them in.
Okay.
So, I struggled with it because I started school very early. I finished school
Okay.
very early. I did a lot of things very early, and I was never in the same class with my own age mates, even growing up in Nigeria. So coming here and you're telling
Oh,
me my child that cannot do this, and I'm like, is there a way around it? Can we do this? And I just found that it's what you do at home. You can always supplement. You can take your child to the next level. You can build other skill sets. Because I had
okay.
to calm down as a person, as a mom. So it is what it is. You can't change the system, and it's there for a reason. So
Okay. So if I want to get into university for first degree,
yeah.
how old must I
So your
be?
age might not matter for university.
Are you serious?
Yes. So
I was told that if you're not 18, you can't get into
if
university
you're
in
not
Canada.
18, you cannot. But if those that went through the system, they will probably be older than you when they're getting into university.
Wait, say it
And
please.
then I think some exceptions are made, like if you went to college first and you had some transfer credits and things like that. But
Wait, so you know we are coming from Nigeria. Must I be 18 before I can get admitted into a Canadian university? Yes or no? No, we are here. Because sometimes I
you
type things
must
like
you
this of
have
15.
they tell you have to be 18.
You have to be 18.
Yeah.
I think that thing is a very hard part
Pit
for us to
pit
swallow.
to swallow. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think we have a lot of those type of. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
checking something on the internet.
Yeah.
So you have to be 18 before you can get admitted into
Into
university.
the university, yes.
So if you're like 17, you will not get admitted.
Have I had a 17-year-old before? Because I have a custody. Shit, was it college? I can't remember. I have to let me look into that and get back to you.
Okay.
Mm.
Because what I do know is that 18 is almost a norm.
Yeah.
Secondly, what do I need to get admitted? Do I need to come and do a special exam or just my WAEC results?
Your work enough result is good enough. So don't
To end
go with agents
to
that say you must come back and do year 12. It makes
so
their
after
job easy, but it doesn't mean you can't come in with your work. Very
so
important.
so if I have my WAEC result today,
Today, yes.
I can get admitted into a Canadian any all Canadian level or some.
For most, you can get admitted into most of the Canadian institutions.
Okay, that is one. Secondly, what is it minimum of 5 credits in math and English or
It will
what?
depend now. Now we're getting technical. It will depend on what
Okay,
school, what
okay,
program, how early you apply, and things like
okay,
that. So for most schools, they have a rolling admission process, meaning they will keep taking people in till it's full. And then you also
okay.
have to realize that as an international student, you are not priority.
Eh,
No, you're not. So
oh,
you
wow.
want to, yes, and then they have seats allocation for international versus home. So the earlier you apply, the better. The higher your grades, the better as well.
So yeah, okay. If I gather what you said so far,
Mm-hmm.
my WAEC results is good enough for me to get admitted into
Yes,
most
it is.
universities.
Yes,
I
it
don't need to
is.
come and spend
You
money
don't
for
have
years.
to come and do year 12 or do a foundation program. Now, if your WAEC result is not as good and you're coming for a competitive program, you might need all these extra steps.
So
But
now
I've
what
placed
exactly?
students in WAEC with just their WAEC before.
So what exactly is a good WAEC result?
Depending on what school you're applying to, you want to see those A's and B's. Credit will get you in some places. Then it also depends on the province. So you want to go to University of Toronto, since won't cut it.
Okay, sorry. Someone said a family member has a 17-year-old who got admitted into uni. A 17-year-old admitted
That's
into
what I'm saying.
Canadian
That
university.
I'm thinking
Okay.
because I know that I had someone in uni that I think we had to do custodian form for, and if we're doing custodian form, they are not 18 yet. So but I didn't want to say for
You
certain,
spoke
certain, certain,
Yoruba.
certain. Let me
What
go
mean
and
say?
check. Let me go and
Okay.
check and get back to you.
Okay. So I think
Yeah.
someone is confirming that
Mm.
it does not need to do A levels or foundation. Your
No,
wife
not
results.
necessary. Yes, yes.
Okay, I think we're getting down out of the way. Then usually for their first degree, how many years is it? Sorry, I'm taking you in a direction because how many years is the
Most schools 3 years.
to do your first degree?
Yes, 3 to
Now,
4 years.
how much is the school fees? Because that's what people ask.
I tell people to budget a minimum of 20,000 in tuition fees because it will depend on what school, what program,
Twenty
what
thousand
province. Canadian dollars for a
for
year. Per
for a
year,
year. How many semesters are in a
two
year?
semesters.
Wait, sorry. There are only 2 semesters in a year.
Yes.
But here already summer, winter, spring. How
So,
does that?
okay, so mostly you'd have 2 semesters. In some cases, some kids do some summer programs to buffer things up. So if they find
Okay.
their workload was too heavy in the fall or in the winter, they take summer courses. Typically, in most cases,
Mhm.
you would have a typical session will look it would look like a 2 semester session. In some cases, it might be three, depending.
Okay, then
Yes.
like UK and Nigeria, you only
Mm-hmm.
admitted at one time of the. Okay, UK now does maybe September and January.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing in Canada?
So we have September, January, and May. So September fall, January winter session, summer session May. Now, what the most common one is September, similar to Nigeria, right? And you
Okay.
find that most programs or all programs would, in most cases, have a September start date. All right. The
Okay.
right for some programs they'll have September and January. May you
Okay.
won't get as many programs, but there are some programs that start in May as well.
Okay. So we are saying that usually September,
Mm-hmm.
what other January and May.
And May,
So
yeah.
if I want to get admitted in September, when should I apply?
Start as soon as possible. As soon as the day they open if they open the application, February starts. If they open it,
Okay.
January starts. The earlier you start, the better. Because remember, once they fill their seats, that's it. So start as early as possible. So right
Okay.
now, this is August. Actually, since July, June, we've been processing January admissions.
So
And especially if you're coming from
say it again.
Nigeria,
Say it again.
this is July. And since last month, this is August 1 actually. And since
Yes.
late June, we've been processing admissions for January
So if
next year.
I can't get admitted for September
You won't
now.
get admitted for September now. If I have a client who is already in Canada, has a study
Mhm.
permit, I can probably still apply for September because we won't need to go through. Most international offices don't want to admit someone for September, knowing fully well they need 8 weeks or 12 weeks to get their study permit.
Okay. Now,
But if the person is here locally, they might still be able to get admission,
how long?
provided the seat is available.
Okay. So okay, if I submit all my documents, how
Mm-hmm.
long do I take to get my letter of
So
admission?
that also depends on the program of study and the college of study. Right? You can get it as fast as 1 week. It can be up to 2 months. So it depends on the school and the program and how
Okay.
quickly you submit all your stuff and if
Okay.
verification is required and things like that.
Do I have to pay processing fee?
Yes. So unlike the UK where you apply for free,
Mm-hmm.
here you pay. In most schools you pay, and it ranges from $50 to up to $250.
So
Averagely $100.
if if I apply and I don't get admitted, can I get my money back?
No, you're not getting your money back because they process
Ah,
it. It is called an application fee. Work was done. They looked at the application and they thought that you didn't qualify, so it's gone.
wow. Okay. So now, because sorry, I'm leading you the questions because
That's
these are
fine. That's totally fine.
typical questions that
Olita is laughing
bothers
at me.
a lot of us. Now, okay, you're saying if I want to get admitted into January, for example, you said the process now.
Yes, you
You're
should.
saying that my WAEC result, a good WAEC result is good enough,
Yes.
and other things.
Mm-hmm.
What? How do they verify my WAEC results? That whether it's authentic or not?
So they have PIN numbers now. So they can actually log into the WIAC portal. Most schools have access to log in and verify.
So I don't need to go and get affidavit and attach it
No,
to a
no,
court
no, not
document.
anymore. Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
What can I do if they rejected my application?
So If they reject, so if you're applying, so for instance, if someone were coming to Iwaje to apply to school, I wouldn't be
Mhm.
putting your application into a place where you don't qualify. Plus, I don't want you to apply to two, three different schools, right? Plus, time is going. So, for instance, I
Okay.
will check the admission requirements, see that you meet those requirements, and give them what they're asking for. Now, if you're doing it yourself, so you don't
Yeah.
lose time, I would say apply to at least two schools, if possible, three, right?
Okay.
And that way you're able to and then read the requirements, see what they want, and make sure you have it.
Okay. Is there anything like school admission officer and department admission officer?
Sorry, say that again.
I'm told that some universities that
Hmm.
a faculty has its own admission officer, then the school has its own admission officer.
So
Is
yes,
there anything like that?
there's things like that, and there's also things for international students because even the international office like regulates how much international students. Honestly speaking, right? We lose a lot of money in Canada from international students. No liaison. Do you understand? So we want them.
Okay.
So they kind of regulate. So apart from the general registry, there's a department. And it's like, okay, so for instance, if you're applying for a master's, right, the department might take you, you might have to find, I want to say sponsors, but it's not sponsors. What's the
Referees.
word? Uh, no, not
Referees.
referees. The person that is going to look over your application, that is going to admit you, your supervisor.
Okay.
Yes, so it will depend. And different schools, different programs have different formats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if by God's grace I get
Mm-hmm.
admitted,
Mm-hmm.
what do I need to take to get my visa? Because I have a friend whose daughter got admitted last year,
Mm-hmm.
June.
Mm-hmm.
He has sent in the documents for
Mm-hmm.
visa.
Mm-hmm.
No, we have not heard from the visa office till today.
Since June last year,
Yes, I will talk to you afterwards.
we should. We
The letter
definitely
of
should.
the letter of admission came in on September, I think 14.
That's strange. That's strange.
Was
It can
supposed-
happen, but
it was-
it's strange. But to answer your question, after you get your admission letter,
Mhm.
before you apply for a study permit, please pay your school fees. Pay it in full. Don't
Eh?
even pay for one. Don't pay for one semester. If the full session is 17,000, don't pay. What's 17 divided by two? 8,000 something. Pay the full
So
17,000
for the entire session.
for the entire session. If you're coming for a 2 or 3 year program, then you don't have to pay for 3 years. It's okay to pay for 1 year. Why is this? It's
So
an unspoken rule. They expect you to pay. There's no law that says you have to pay the full tuition fee. In fact, most schools will tell their students, "Oh, we only need $2,000 or $2,300 to hold your seat." But
okay,
it's not.
sorry, before you go
Mm-hmm.
there, sorry. I called my friend.
Mm-hmm.
After the child got admitted, they told them to pay one deposit
Yeah.
before the school fees. What exactly
Yes.
is that one?
So deposit is to hold your seat. So because
Okay.
some people would go and say, like if I'm applying for a student, God knows I'm only applying for one school because before I apply, I'll make sure the person qualifies. But in some
Okay.
cases, people would see some people who apply to 5 schools and they get 5
Okay.
admissions, right?
Okay.
Now that they've taken up seats in 5 different places, right? So
Okay.
the school wants some sort of commitment fee to say
Like,
you
they
are
are coming.
coming. So that way they can,
Okay.
because they, number one, they can't overfill the seats. Number two, they don't know how many people will get a visa at the end of the day. So they have to kind of project.
Okay.
They can't project. So for planning purposes, they know that at least if you've committed a certain amount, usually around
So it's not,
2,300.
so it's not a fraud if the school
Oh no,
says
it's not. It's not.
pay.
No, it's not.
No, you know where we are coming. We need our part of the
It's
world.
not. So long
When you
as
get
you take,
admitted,
yes, before we actually even go on to this whole study permit or this student visa thing, the very
okay.
important thing for those that are coming to elementary and high school or secondary school, any
Mm-hmm.
school is fine. Now, if you're coming for post-secondary school, i.e.,
Okay.
postgraduate diploma, advanced diplomas, masters, and things like that, it must be a designated learning institute, right? If it's not a designated learning institute
Ah,
that was designated by the government of Canada, what happens at the end of your study is that you can't transition to get a work permit and becoming a permanent resident, which is why a lot of people come here to school as opposed to go
Wait,
to the UK.
I'm confused about this. You're designated. Wait, are you saying not all
Not all schools,
universities?
no, not all universities are designated.
So
They are
how will I know
accredited.
which
They are
one?
good schools. Please research. Just go on the Government
So
of Canada's website, type
so
in
there's designated that's
GLI.
accredited.
There's accredited. So I mean, in this part of the world, it'll be hard for you to find a school that is not accredited. But whether or not it's designated for you to learn as an international student
Oh,
in order to qualify for a post-graduation work permit is a totally different school.
so
Somebody saying
so
talk
how,
about college, the same thing for colleges.
so how will I know which one is
You
designated
just
and not?
search. You just so go on the Government of Canada's website, cit.gc.ca, and type search GLI, and then you'll be able to choose by province and see if your school is on that list.
Okay. Now, based on your own experience,
Mm-hmm.
which province is the best to apply for university? For first degree or for masters?
Whatever province you want to go, really, it really doesn't matter. Well, I take that back. It does matter because depending on what your ultimate goal is. So, are you coming
Okay.
here to school because you want to hold a foreign credential so that when you get back to your office, you can show them that I studied in the abroad and now I want your position? Or if you intend to stay here, work and then become a permanent resident, do you have work experience from home? Will you be needing a provincial nomination at the end of the day and you want to go to a province that, gives its ex students some sort of edge and things like that? So those are things you consider, right? Now, if your sole reason, someone said whichever is cheapest, yes, and your budget also matters, whatever matches your wallet, because you have to pay for it at the end of the day, and whatever has the program you want to do as well. So
Okay.
if I have
Okay.
you in Saskatchewan, right, and my daughter is coming to school, I might want my daughter to be close to you. Maybe not live in your house. I'll probably be paying for someone or some place homeschool,
Okay.
but I just want you to be able to check on my daughter every now and again. Do you understand? It won't make sense for me
Oh,
to come to Ontario. But if I'm an
okay.
elderly person that wants to really immigrate, now wants to use coming to school as a means to immigrate to Canada, then that person definitely wants to school in a province that has some sort of advantage for its students. So that at the end
Okay.
of their study, they're equipped, they have that extra benefit.
Okay. Now, let me ask a question. Someone
Mm-hmm.
said, does there's in Nigeria we have what we call NECO. Wow, where are you? So she's coming up, internet connection. There's something
I'm
called
back.
NECO. You know what NECO?
I'm back.
NECO. We have
Yes,
WAEC and
yes, I
NECO.
know NECO. Yes, NECO is accepted. Yes, it's
Oh,
accepted.
hallelujah. Yeah, because
It's
okay, so
accepted.
NECO is accepted.
It is, yes.
Um, someone is asking because around this first degree issue,
Mm-hmm.
um, can I come in instead of going to university to come into studying a polytechnic instead of saying I want to go to university?
Yes, so our polytechnic is what I was saying, their colleges. Probably this person joined us late. Now, if
Okay.
for instance you have a tutu, a low tutu,
Mm-hmm.
you want to come in January, you want to come in May, right? Instead of saying you want to wait till September to find a university where you can do a master's that you're not sure you're even going to get because your grades are not as strong and you don't have enough work experience, then you probably want to come to our colleges and take your quick 1 year program, right? So that at
Is
the
it
end
easy
of
to get? Is it easy to get the visa? No, you said this quick,
so this
quick, all
this
this quick,
so
this quick thing.
the visa thing is also the other issue we should talk about.
Okay. Okay. Before I talk about the visa issues, I just want to us talk about how to get admitted for first degree, for
Mhm,
masters, for PhD. Then we now
mhm.
go to talk about the visas issue generally.
Okay,
Hope that's okay.
yeah, that's fine.
So if I can summarize what you've said, you said with my WAEC, my child's WAEC result or NECO result,
Mhm,
I can actually apply to most schools,
yeah.
right? Like
Mhm,
when I'm applying, I usually will pay a processing fee.
yes.
If I get accepted, I'll
Mhm.
pay like a deposit just to hold the space.
Just to hold the space, but I tell people
The-
not to just pay the bare minimum, to pay the full thing.
So apart from holding the space, the advice from anybody, from experts like you, is pay the entire
Mhm.
school fees at
Yeah,
once
yeah.
to show that because to show that your parents can pay. That
Mhm.
is for the first degree,
Yes.
right? And you said type of
For
school
the
you go
first
to,
degree, first degree is at least 3 years. So for the
so
first
you pay
degree,
at
I
least
just want
first
them to pay for
one
1 year.
1 year.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, if I want to get for my masters,
Mm-hmm.
wait, sorry, can I come for another first degree in Canada?
So you can come for your first degree in Canada, yes.
And that first degree, if I have a BSc in Nigeria, can I come back for another BSc in Canada?
Yes, you can.
What do I
And
need?
the schools will not have any problem admitting you. Now you have to justify to the government of Canada why you're doing a second degree. All right. So
A
you
second
all
first degree.
a second first degree. Exactly.
Okay.
Because you have to tell them why, because in their mind they're thinking, is this person wanting to just get a visa and leave, or is there a genuine reason? So you have to explain. So if your parents made you do medicine or they made you do something and what you really wanted to do was music, then you have to tell that visa officer that, well, where I come from, they tell you what to do. But I
Okay.
have finished it, I have given them their certificates. Now I need to do this for me. You have to explain yourself. Do you understand?
Okay. So my case, I want to ask again now is I can see some questions that I don't want us to forget the question. Do I need to verify my WAEC result before
The school will
this
verify it.
West?
The school will no,
Now,
you don't have to
the,
do West. You don't have in most schools you don't have
for
to do West.
now, someone said they ask for WAEC scratch card.
Yes, they do. That's how they verify.
So when you're sending your WAEC result, you put
You
a scratch
send
card number
you
on it.
so that way they can log in and verify themselves.
Okay. Now, how do I get admitted for masters?
Masters is a bit more tricky because
Okay.
masters, if it's a top program or if it's a research-based program, the top programs are easier to get into, right? The
Okay.
research-based ones are a bit more tricky because you might find a supervisor but not get a seat in the department, or you can get a seat in the department and not find a supervisor, right? So I tell
Okay.
people you can't just write generic letters and say I want to come to your department, blah 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 blah. You have to show interest in that person's research. And if you're coming for a master's, don't apply to just one school. Do at least multiple schools. And to answer the question you asked me before, it might be a bit easier to get a visa for a master's program than for a postgraduate diploma program. But just remember, I want to talk about those the length of the work permit they get. So I'm writing it down so I don't forget.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe I should just talk about it now.
Yeah. Speak. Yeah.
Some people come here for a postgraduate diploma program and they've been told
That's
that at
that's
the
one year.
yes,
That's
and they've
one
been
year. Nine
it's
months.
typically 1 year, and they've been
Okay.
told that at the end of that 8 months of study, you only get a 1 year visa, which is true.
1 year
Meanwhile,
post study visa.
yes, a post graduation work permit visa, a work permit. It's not even a visa;
Okay.
it's a permit, right?
Okay.
So you take an 8 months program, you get a 1 year work permit. Meanwhile,
Okay.
if you take a 2 year program, you get a
Mhm.
3 year work permit.
Oh, okay.
Right? So many people want to take advantage of that 3 year work program, 3 year work permit, right? But you have to
Mm-hmm.
bear in mind that you're thinking far, which is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. But you have to also think in the meantime, how is the visa officer going to assess you, right?
Okay.
For someone that's already working, maybe 35 years or thereabouts, you finished school maybe 10 years ago, you've worked for 10 years, you have kids, you have a husband. It's easier for you to say, oh, look, I'm just going for 8 months. Before you know it, I'll be back, right?
Okay.
Because I'm coming for a 1 year program, I'm able to show that, look,
You have commitment at
I have
home to bring
commitment
you
at
back.
home, right? And it's
Okay.
a quick one. This thing, I'm doing it to get a promotion at work, or I'm doing it to switch my field, or I'm doing it for this reason. But when you're not saying you're going for a 2 year program, they're looking at you and saying, you're going for 2 years. And you think at the end of 2 years, your job will still be waiting for you. So there's checks and balances. You just have to wear that visa officer's hat and say, how are they going to see me? And the trick to
Okay.
it is also that you can do two separate 1 year programs and get 3 year work permits. I'll say it again very slowly.
Okay.
You can finish a postgraduate diploma program, one,
Mm-hmm.
maybe in operations management. Then you do a
Mm-hmm.
second one, business analysis. You can join those two together to get a 3 year work permit. So
Wait. Okay.
that way,
Continue.
when you're applying for your visa, you're just saying, I'm coming, I'm just going for 1 year. And then when you
Okay.
get here, you assess everything and say, okay, if I
Now
finish
do
one
another
year,
one.
yeah, if I finish 1 year and I get 1 year work permit, what is my channel? How am I doing on the scale of immigration? If you're not looking good, then you say, wait a minute, I'm going to do 1 more year. Now, the good thing about the 1 more year you want to do is that you don't have to leave Canada to apply for that study permit. and they would almost
We
always
just
give it to you.
okay, I understand. Now, you said something about the masters that
Mm-hmm.
I should have a 2-1 for most masters.
Yes, yes,
If I have a 2-2, can I get admitted for a masters?
yes. Sorry, yes, but it's iffy. It's iffy. So if you have a 2-2 and you have good GMAT scores, and you're coming for a management program, and you
GMAT
have
again.
GMAT again, and you have good
Ah,
references, not
wow.
references that would say Kayode is a model student. Referees that would blow your trumpet and say she's one of the best people I've worked with, and you have good work experience, you may be able
Wait,
to get your way.
the scandal we are coming to now. Which one is
It's,
GMAT again?
so some programs will require GRE or GMAT for masters, not all
Oh,
programs.
we're trying to avoid that one now, madam. You can see that our head
If
is
you want
going
to,
like
so if you want to avoid that one, just come here and do PGD. You don't need much. You're not shouting too much.
PGD is the one between the first degree and the
PGD,
masters.
yes, it's the one between the first year and man. Yeah, and it stands on its own actually, and we don't discriminate against people that have PGDs here.
Okay. Now, if I have my West, the one
Mm-hmm.
for general, can I
Mm-hmm.
use it to get admitted for a masters?
You can. You probably have to apply for an upgrade to have them do a cost by cost evaluation.
It
If
means I spend money again.
you spend money again, but not the full money, just some additional money. But that's
Mm-hmm.
if the school requests it. Some schools don't. They don't need West. They just want your university to send your transcript to them. The person is asking for
Okay.
third class. Third class for postgraduate diploma. Yes, you can use it. But I'm finding that many schools these days, their shakara is increasing to another level, and they're saying no. Like schools I used to work with in the past that would take third class for some programs, no problem. They are turning around to say, "Oh no, we don't want you,"
So
but you still find schools. You
how
still
many
find
universities are
schools.
even in Canada? This Canada, how many universities are there?
I don't know. Allah is here.
Uh,
Allah tell us. I think she put a post up about it one day. I can't. I don't know. I used to
Is
know
it
the
up to
number. I have to
200?
check. It must be. Yeah. Actually,
Yes.
let's search the internet so that we're not
Okay.
giving wrong information online.
Okay. So we have so sometimes we have not to go to the famous names. Just apply to any university that will accept you.
Well, the thing is, you have to sit down and think and say, what's my mission? Am I
My mission
finding a
is
way to get into Canada, the Canadian system, and become a permanent
yes,
resident, or
yes.
am I using it to go and do shakara back home?
We're
If you
not doing
need it
shakara with $20,000.
to,
This $20,000 shakara.
so if all you need is, then you're fine with any school. And most public schools, all public schools, most public schools are designated, so you'll be fine with just your cheapest. I think it's the connections you make during school. It's how well you do during school. It's how much you volunteer during school that really counts for more as opposed to where you go.
Okay, so because we have less than 20 minutes,
Okay.
right? So I have to
Yes.
speed up some aspects.
Okay.
Now, I get my letter of admission for my
Mm-hmm.
master's, for my first degree, for my PhD, or whatever I want to do.
So
What
my
do I do
professor,
to
my
get
boss just answered the question that we have 96 public universities
your
in
boss is
Canada.
on? Who's your boss? I'm looking for your boss. What's her name?
Her name is Alito.
Ah, madam, she's doing well. Please, you can rate her well. Okay. 96 university, that's nice. Okay, now I get my letter of admission. How do I get my study visa? Like I said, a friend of mine has the issue with a daughter already.
So that person that the application has been stuck, that person
Mm-hmm.
really should contact me. I don't know how that person can do it on their own. They should contact me
Me,
so
I
that we
would
can actually
me, I would do contact you. I don't want to go too far.
yes,
It
so
is
that we
my
can
personal
actually
issue as well.
yes, so we can actually find out what's going on. Right?
Okay.
Now
So what?
the thing is what's it called? What was I going to say? Like it's distracting me. Um After they finish their school, after they get their admission and they paid the
Okay.
fees, they now have to
Okay.
sit down and say, okay, I'm applying for a visa. How do I prove to this visa officer that I am a genuine student? I'm bona fide. My
Okay.
intention is, even if I want
No
to stay
good.
in Canada, right?
Okay.
Initially, my plan is to go there to study and acquire
Okay.
knowledge.
Okay.
If you're in elementary school and your parents have money, you don't need too much noise. You'll probably be fine. I mean, I've seen refusals. These days, I'm saying, okay, let me drop a bombshell here, right? Me and
Mm-hmm.
some of my colleagues were analyzing the current refusal rates for Nigerian applicants, and I'm sad
Okay.
to report that As we've gone down from 40% approval rate from a few years ago, and we are all the way down to 12% currently, which
Why?
is
Why?
sad.
Why?
The why and the
Yeah.
how and all that, we are all coming together to try and fight it, right? To
Okay.
say this is
Thank
there's
you.
some sort of systemic discrimination against us and things like that, right?
Like
We're
my
not there
like
yet, but we are.
Black Lives Matters, right?
I don't know if that's
Okay.
the title of our placard, but something has to be done because it is quite alarming. So
Okay.
I'm saying it out there so that you guys have an idea that you are already disadvantaged. And that's the fact. And there's nothing you can do about it. So if you come from a place of I'm already disadvantaged, you buckle up, right? So if it's a kid, you don't say because it's a kid and Iwaje has said that in most cases they would approve it, just submit anything. No, you still have to show your money and show things. A
So you
child
must
is
show
a
that
child.
you must show you have enough
You
funds in your
must show you
account.
have, yes. So apart from paying
Okay.
the tuition, they've
Mm.
estimated that in living expenses for a year for an international student, it costs an average of 10,000 Canadian dollars.
Okay.
Now, don't go and say Iwaje said we should have 10,000 plus tuition. You can't just have 10,000 plus tuition because you're still going to fly here. Life is still going to go on before and after you fly to Canada. So you still have to have buffer. So you can't
Okay.
have the bare minimum and expect that your visa will be approved. Now, back to what I was saying. A child is a child. They don't see a child running away and things like that. I don't know why
Okay.
they refuse them once in a while, but they do. So you still have to package your application properly. I'm starting to use this package word. I never used
So
to
yeah.
like package,
So if
but
okay, so if I send all the documents in, how long will I get the visa?
it depends. It depends on what office your application lands in, what and with
Ghana
COVID
office.
19. What
Ghana office.
I wish it was Ghana. These days it's Kenya, it's Nairobi.
Say it
That's
again.
the sad part. These days it's going to Nairobi, Kenya.
Wow.
And I love all my Kenyan friends, but I'm not sure what they're doing with other visa office in particular, but it is what it is. Now, if
Okay.
you're older, if you're not a child, so if you're married, right,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of want to show that, look, I have something going on here for me. My coming
Okay.
to Canada or my going to Canada is an added thing,
Okay.
right? It's not like,
Mm.
and if you have a wife and you have 3 children and you are going to the visa office, all of you are going together, then you are kind of telling that visa officer that I'm not coming back home because why
Okay.
have you packed your husband and your 3 children to follow you to come
Okay.
at school?
Okay. Let me ask this thing. I have
Mm-hmm.
seen your web someone get admitted for his masters.
Mm-hmm.
Then the wife
Mm-hmm.
now applies for work permit after the person has got his masters. Is he allowed?
Yes, it is allowed. And technically speaking, as the spouse of a study permit holder, you can apply for what is called an open work permit, which is the best kind of work permit because it means you can work for anybody, right? But is this automatic? No, it's not. Because both of you
Oh,
still have to prove that this whole study permit versus open work permit is still a temporary visa,
okay. Yes.
right?
Okay.
Your intentions are
It's,
temporal in nature. I'm just saying nonsense now. I think I'm tired. Are temporal in nature, right? So you still have to
okay.
show that at the end of her study, and while she's studying, I'm going to be working. And don't
Okay.
don't 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 be fooled. The fact that you have a work permit, you can't say that you're going to use that job to support your spouse in school. No, they expect you to have the money because they're not going to bring you all the way here and then you suddenly don't find a job immediately. And yet that's the job you're saying that you want to use to fund the school. It wouldn't work. In some
Oh,
cases, in a few cases, I'll apply for the entire family. But in most cases, I'll break up the application. I'll apply for the student first and then bring in the others
okay. So,
systematically.
so the advice is the primary person should get his visa sorted out first.
Because
Then the
it's
people that
easier.
are
It's easier. You're
okay.
saying that I'm going alone. You can always change
Okay.
your mind. You can be,
Okay.
oh, my husband and kids want to come with me. They want to help me settle in. They want to help me unpack. They're going to be
Okay.
instrumental to my finding a place.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay. So I think we take questions now. Anybody that wants to
Mm-hmm.
reach YJ, so say your link
Yeah.
again. YJ at what?
Iwaje Immigration.
How do you spell that?
IWAJAY Immigration.
Okay,
But
so
then
if
if
I'm
they look on the top left corner, they're going to find it on the top left corner of the screen.
okay, because the way it is now, I'm not an expert. People ask me questions, and I always point them back to you
Mm.
because you are the authority on this
Mm-hmm.
issue.
Oh,
And
yes. Another thing I should speak about before we start taking questions is you come here
okay,
to study, you spent a lot of money, right?
okay,
Now it's time to apply for your work permit. The timing of your application matters a lot,
okay,
right? So now you have about 6 months to apply for your work permit. You want to be strategic about it. If you haven't gotten a job offer, maybe you shouldn't rush to apply for your postgraduate work permit. Obviously, don't leave it till too late when you no longer can apply for a work permit. And before I even go into more details, remember that the postgraduation work permit is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So you can't go to school, get a postgraduate work permit, then go back to school, and they won't give you another one. You only get to once in your life, right? So at the
okay,
point when you finish school, it's time to reflect. It's time to evaluate things and say, what's my journey to becoming a permanent resident like?
okay,
And if your chances are not very good, then please stop at that time, go back to school, and then add them together before you apply for a postgraduate work permit. Because if you apply for a postgraduate work permit at that time, you can't go back to school and ask them for top up work permit. It doesn't work like that. Now,
okay,
in terms
okay,
of the strategy of when to apply, you kind of want to also take a step back and say, oh, the fact that I just got my certificate, next up, work permit. No. The question is, have you had do you have a job offer? Is there something lined up for you? What's your journey to PR going to look like? So if you have to delay it a little bit, and the secret is, even if you're waiting to get a job offer,
mm-hmm.
at the time they tell you you're starting on Monday, there's nothing that stops you from applying for your work permit on Sunday. Especially for those that came here for a 1 year course and would only
Okay,
get a 1 year work permit, and they want to use that 1 year for Canadian Experience Class Permanent Resident class of application. For
okay.
those
Wait,
people, they need
how long does the processing take place? If I apply, will I get it the next day?
you won't get it the next day. But the fact is that if you submitted in due time and you still have a valid study permit, you are legally allowed to work on your implied status. Implied meaning it is implied that you've done everything rightly, you hold the right credentials, you've done the right thing, so you would get the work permit is in the works, so you can start to work in the process.
Okay, so let me start going to the question. Someone says that I'm 37, I have 10-year-old WAHEC. Can I
Okay.
apply for 10-year-old WAHEC? Can I apply for 2 year certification program because of
Yes, you
age?
can. Yes, you can apply for 2 years. So your problem is not so much the school. You would always find a school that would get you. Your biggest worry is your study permit, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
why are you going back to school 10 years after? Explain it.
Okay.
Don't assume we know. You have to explain it.
Someone says, how does long study gap over 10 years
10 years
affect?
affect graduate. So this is just what I was coming from, right? It does
Okay.
affect it because you're like a suspect. They're thinking, is this person just saying, okay, I don't qualify for any of the programs under the Express Entry Management System, all right?
Okay.
So they're
Okay.
just, so you have to explain the gap and you have to explain why now, why the school you have chosen, why that program, what's changed, what are you looking to get? You have to make it clear. And don't say it once, say it twice. If you can, say it 3 times so that you drive home the point and they understand that you're genuine. And please don't give us too much information. Don't give us your 10-year plan. If your 10-year plan is to remain in Canada, tell us why you want to study and how it will help you in the interim. Not the fact that it's going to help you get a work permit to remain here. Too
Okay.
much
Someone says,
information.
please clarify the notion that one province is cheap because of tuition.
Okay,
Forgetting that standard of living may.
may vary, yes. So for
Yeah.
instance,
Okay.
you might think that okay, I've gotten a school that will charge 15,000 as opposed to a school in the greater Toronto area that will charge more. So you have to
Okay.
do all your research, do all your math, right?
Okay.
London, Ontario, for instance, they are, it's 2 hours or less than that drive to Toronto, right? They might have cheaper schools and their cost of living. So research, right? You know your budget. Like I mentioned earlier, Are you looking to stay at the end of it? Are you looking to go? Do you need a provincial nomination at the end of the day? Some provinces
Okay.
like Ontario, except you're doing a master's, even their master's stream for PMP, I think they open it to once or twice a year and it fills within hours. So you
Wow.
have to, put all of those things into consideration. You also have to also note that what obtained now might not be there at the end of your study. So you can't make a decision solely based on something. You have to look at the holistic picture. So that's why if you cannot do all of the research, get help.
Okay. Now, nowadays in Nigeria, I see everybody's I think there was something that was issued that they now issue study permit visas in Nigeria. It was all over the news here in Nigeria. Is that
Mm-hmm.
true?
No, no,
So
there's no truth in it. No,
that
with
they don't
there's
issue study
no,
permits in Nigeria.
not anymore.
No, there's something that was on the news. Yeah, and everybody was rejoicing. There's even a lady that went on Facebook and was shouting about it that you can now get to
They're
study visa for.
misleading. It's still misleading. It's still Kenya.
It's still Kenya. Wow.
Yeah.
Because I asked, okay, someone is asking another question. Okay, I think it's the same question. Well, I think we have to go very soon. I don't want to lose this
The
entire video.
recording. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I'm going to end it very soon. Anybody that wants to reach Iwaje should go to send her a message on our Instagram accounts
Mm-hmm.
at Iwaje Migration.
Yeah, someone is
She's
asking
there.
for PhD, how much would it require? Most PhD comes with scholarships. So it's getting a seat in the PhD program. More often than not, if you get a scholarship for a PhD, in fact, some would even pay you stipends, right?
Okay,
But
can I get this?
don't
Okay,
they shouldn't
continue.
confuse the fact that they have a scholarship and they won't show proof that they can afford it. You still have to show that you can afford that trip, even if you have a scholarship.
Someone is saying, is Nigerian Student Visa Express?
So that express program was launched. It was
Mm-hmm.
legit, but it never took
Okay.
off. And that's part of what we want to fight for. Because when we analyze data from different countries and the visa approval rates, we noticed
Okay.
that the ones for India went up after they
Okay.
introduced a similar system. So it's kind of saying, oh, if you're coming to Canada to school, drop 5 million as like a
Mm-hmm.
bond or something. So it took off, it was legit, but it's still not, it was never implemented. And
Wow.
I would love for it to be implemented because we'll certainly see an increase in the visa approval rate again. So that's part of what we're
Oh,
working and trying to fight for.
okay. No problem.
Yeah.
It's I can see quite a number of questions.
Mm.
Um, Anybody that needs this video I'll post this. Yes, Wale Fashino, I can see the video will be available on my Instagram account. Be available if I can send it because it's usually very large
Yeah.
on Dami's
Yeah, I haven't
account.
even tried. Yeah, I've not tried uploading
That's
the one for last
sorry,
year yet.
as many people that have a PhD, Dami actually has a PhD. So when I found out she's actually a doctor, I was shocked. To be available on my Facebook page, if I can upload it, they are definitely available on my YouTube channel. The last one we did available
Is
55
there?
minutes. Please go and watch it before you ask questions because I don't want us to go over some questions
We're
all over
already
again.
covered.
Okay, so I think we have to end this now. Dami, thank
Yeah.
you for
Yeah. No
marathon back to
problem.
back.
No problem.
The next week, one or two people have asked me they want to come as investors. So if you have some
Yeah.
money and you want to come into Canada as investors,
Not some money, a lot of money.
if you want to change us away again, we're already
I'm
married
not
this
chasing
place.
you away. I'm just saying that you said investor. Investor is coming to
Yes,
invest. It's not small
yes.
money. But
Okay,
we'll go into all the details next week.
so as many people that will
Yes.
join us next week, please join us for the third and final part, how to come into Canada as an investor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dami, for this,
No
and you can have your
problem.
rest finally.
Yes.
And regards to doing.
Oh, Abby, I'll see. I need
Yeah,
to
okay.
actually catch up with her. Take care.
Okay,
Enjoy
thank
your
you.
long weekend.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Bye.